I see my brothers and sisters, they have kids, and they give the timeouts. I'm like, what?
Timeout? I would have laughed at a timeout.
I'm not making fun of my brothers and sisters. This is how parents raise kids now. That's the norm. It's like, what does a timeout really do?
I would have laughed at a timeout.
Remember the crap that we used to get?
Nothing beat that spontaneous smack across the face. An open hand smack, Pop knew when to close his hand or to open it.
Right.
And you know, if it was just a wise-ass remark or something, that would come out of nowhere where you would be like, boo! Your ears would ring. You go, what the fuck? Where did that come? And then it was like, you ever see Saving Private Ryan when the shell went off? And the lieutenant went deaf for a little while.
Yeah.
And they're yelling at him, but he's just seeing them yelling, and he's. Yeah. So you get a smack, and then look, and your father's just yelling at you, but you're hearing boo, and then it would come in slow. I gotta hear that fucking language again out of you.
Oh my
do
God.
what I say. Yeah, do as I say, not as I do.
You make a really good point. He knew when to have an open hand.
Oh, yeah.
Very rare with the closed fist. Very rare.
I got the closed fist once, light. He knew to pull the punch, too.
Right.
Oh, Dad loved me.
I mean, but
he knew when to pull the punch.
We got hit with wooden spoons, hot wheel track.
Mom was a prop hack when it came to, she was a hack prop hack. My mom was the Carrot Top of beatings, but she would always pull out props.
But they just knew how hard to go.
Dad had one prop, the belt.
Now to time out in a corner.
Doesn't work.
My father would put me in a figure 4 leg like Greg Valentine, the leg locks.
Greg Valentine.
Greg the Hammer, and then we just laugh at how homoerotic it looked.
My dad never hit me.
Never hit you?
More my mother was brutal, though.
Really?
I had 4 brothers, so my dad was in a fraternity, and he saved the paddle. So she used to use that on us. We used to hide that thing. But the thing was, she used to line us up, and, you'd be standing there waiting like, oh God. Maybe she'll be tired by the time she gets down to me.
In California, my father was so irresponsible with feeding children, things like that. I was in my early teens,
right.
But I wasn't supposed to be going out and fending for myself at that point in life. And there were certain days I was starving. I was a kid starving, So I went in to look for change that was laying around, and I opened up his wife's jewelry box, and I found these quarters in there. They were these silver quarters that were real old.
What did you get for a quarter in 1927?
Way back when I would go to the pop stand. I would go to the drugstore, and the soda jerk would
catch a double feature and get a shake.
I would actually go to Thrifty Drug and Discount Store out in California, right next to the Vons. And I would get some ice cream sandwiches. I would get a box of ice cream sandwiches and sit behind the store and eat an entire box of ice cream sandwiches because I was fucking starving. So I get in the truck one night, and my father goes, did you take anything from our bedroom? And I'm like, of course I lie. No. You didn't go into the jewelry box and take any quarters? Yeah. I took him. Bam, 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 right in the side of the head. I'm like, oh fuck! I didn't even get an excuse out.
How many quarters were in there that she noticed?
Yeah, was there $10,000 worth of quarters?
How much is a box of ice cream sandwiches cost back then?
The exact amount that you needed for ice cream sandwiches.
It was probably $1.50 I took in quarters, but they was silver quarters, so they were probably worth more. They were old quarters. Collector's quarters.
Oh, the upside down stamp.
Yeah, the upside down plane flying, one of those quarters. Double stamp.
I never understood that the collecting of money, it's the second you take it out of your book, it's worth a quarter.
It's worth whatever it is.
Yeah.
Face value.
Oh, the Franklin Mint horse shit that my father falls for. Look, they're in the plastic. I know, stupid. They say 2006 on them.
Yeah.
My
take 5 of those and get some ice cream sandwiches.
I knew this was coming in. My brother Scott on timeouts. Timeouts do nothing but give the parents a bit of peace and quiet.
Yeah, that's what a timeout's for.
They even know.
They even know.
They're like, well, at the very least, we could get a little silence in the house.
I told, to finish up that story, after the ringing went out of my ears, I had explained to him why I took the quarters, and I know he believed it in his head, but he didn't want to, fess up to it. I said, I was starving. I bought ice cream sandwiches. And he goes, no, you didn't. You bought more of those goddamn model rockets. Because I was into model rocketry as a kid. was like always trying to
and I bought
learn.
one for $1.25.
I bought one for $1.25. Pop, is that what they're going
God
for?
forbid you were into model rockets. It could have led to NASA. You could have been on one of these space shuttles.
I could have been an astronaut.
But Dad,
I got a slug in the face for a fucking ice cream sandwich. And you know something though? Like I said, I know he knew I fucking bought food with that because I was starving, and he knows I didn't eat.
Why were you starving all the time?
Because the fucking horses had to eat, and he needed 40 of Budweiser to hang out at the stable with the Chateau Reyes and get hammered.
I'm just picturing bare feet, overalls, dirt roads.
Anthony's really opened up about his relationship with his father in the last year. It's been very interesting.
Was just a mess out there. Oh,
have you ever gone to therapy?
No.
Every time I go to therapy and I try to tell the childhood stories, I just start laughing. As I'm telling them, they're just funny at this point, and then the therapist is always just sitting there like, I don't think that's funny.
Why are you laughing?
I think the laughing is masking pain, which just makes me laugh even more, and I'm just like, I can't do this, and then I leave.
I couldn't do it seriously. Look, I think I know what my father's deal was. He didn't want to be a father. He liked the kids. I know, like, he liked having me around. I was fun. Shit like that.
Probably
he was able to have a son. Yeah, he was able to have his son who, like, would ride horses and rope and do things like that.
Cry like a girl.
Fatherly thing. He could, like, smack me for crying like a girl when I got a cramp in my leg. If you ever fucking scream like that again, I want to see an arrow coming out of your chest. He told me that once when I got a cramp in my leg and went, ah! I screamed and everybody looked. What the fuck are you doing screaming like that? He couldn't understand. I was like a kid in pain.
I want to go back to the model rockets.
Oh, yeah.
What's wrong with the model rockets?
I was so... Well, he if I was stealing the quarters...
But he was bothered that you had this hobby to begin with.
Probably it was a little too geeky for a cowboy.
Whether it was your mom buying you the model rockets for your birthday or whatever.
Well, I'll tell you when the turning point was. When my brother Joe got sent out to California because he was being a bad boy here in New York and my mother couldn't put up with his shit anymore. Joe came out. Within, I'd say, a month of my brother being out there, he then started hiding his pot in the payload sections of my rockets. So I found a joint once, and I said, you know something, let me try this. I went into a watershed. It's this thing in the riverbed. It's like a pump house with the big old rusty handles in there and stuff, and it was made of tin, and it was pitch black.
What is a watershed? A watershed?
It's like a pump house. It was in the riverbed, and it was like a flood control station. It was like a little tin shack with a big handle on there that you turn to turn the water on somewhere, but it was locked. It was pitch black in there. So I went in, smoked an entire joint, and I heard you didn't get high the first time you smoked pot, so I smoked the whole thing.
Oh, bad mistake.
And when I opened up the door, it was like when Dorothy opened the door on the second half of The Wizard of Oz, and it was in color.
Oh, God.
I walked out of there and looked around and saw everything in a whole new light. I didn't give a shit about school anymore, about model rockets, about making anyone happy. I could give a flying fuck about everything except I needed more pot. That continued through high school and everything.
Yeah.
That's more pot.
It continues to this day. Are you kidding?
I don't
smoke the pot anymore.
I haven't smoked pot in fucking probably 20 years.
Dude, you know what's funny? That's why I finally tried it a couple of years ago.
Really?
36, 37 years old. I finally tried it, and it was the exact reason why I never tried it, because I loved it. It was the greatest feeling, and I was just like, this is why I didn't do it. But, like, I'm old enough now to be like, okay, I know what it does. I'm going to sleep on the couch. I'm not going to be motivated.
You're not going to do anything. So that's what it was.
I'll tell you this.
If I did it at 14, 15, that would have been a 15-year habit to put it down.
I got a goal. I'm going to start heroin at 70.
That's probably the best time to do it.
I'm serious.
Dude,
70-year-old heroin addict.
You'll be shredded.
I know, man.
Shredded.
That's going to be cool.
Nice. My brother got caught with weed on him, though.
Yeah.
In California, and he was being sent out there for disciplinary reasons because he was fucking up here in New York with living with my mom. So my father immediately went like, all right, Joe's fucking up. I got to be the disciplinarian. So I'm not even going to try to fake it and be nice. So he caught him, though. He saw a little lump in Joe's sock when he got in the truck and says, what's that? Oh. And Joe's like, nothing. Let me see what that is. Oh, look, I'm holding it for a wham! Pot. He had pot on him. And my father didn't even know. He was like, you're carrying around like it was probably a nickel. Probably enough to roll maybe 3 joints with. And he goes,
probably why he hit him.
You're going around with an ounce of pot on you? And you couldn't sit there and explain, no, Pop, an ounce of pot is like a lot of pot.
Then you would show your education.
But this is like a little. Like an ounce you see as being